I'm sure I want to go live. Sounds like a song by the, whatever. What's the name of that old girl band? You know.
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
It comes in a plain brown envelope. Of course, you see it in black and white. And it says, for recipient only. Now, what could this possibly be? Congratulations, you're pre-approved for $2,000. This is one of these people that pretends they're Capital One. It's like Credit One, and they charge people interest. They take advantage of the poor, charge them like 36% interest. And it's really designed for porch thieves. Now, there's a couple of... I may have to get up at some point and turn the air conditioner back on. I had it on this morning. Yesterday's show, audio-wise, was pretty much a disaster. Like that. Okay, that's good. You're going to do that. It's like it's doing that intentionally to mess with me. That wasn't the problem we had yesterday, too. That's the funniest thing. What is your problem? Just stay, please. And I'll have to, like, systematically destroy this thing. Some kind of medical thing. Notes. Baggies. Lysol. Go to the grocery store. That's one of the things I'm going to be doing today. After the show.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And actually at a time that I don't like to go. Because I like to go at 7 when they first open. But I won't be able to go until sometime after 8. It's currently 6:03 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the former United States of America. And it's July 14th, which is a Wednesday, in the calendar year 2021. And I did my laundry yesterday, so the famous white handkerchief has gotten cleaned a couple days in a row, which is not uncommon. I'm pouring myself a Diet Cola drink. I prefer not to, but what is... Oh, man, my cell phone was left on all night long. I don't think we need the cell phone today. I'm going to turn that off so that doesn't decide to do some kind of cloud action while we're on the air and steal from our CPU. I got lots to talk about today. First of all, for some reason, we need to get... a couple of things have happened. Nothing big, nothing to worry about. A couple of things have changed and vanished, and I might have accidentally deleted something, and I can't imagine, that I did. But I did. And one of them is this media source, and I'm hoping... Yesterday, when I played this Seashore, and then, let's see. Well, she's still here. Okay, that's good. What's missing is that I don't necessarily have a daily image. I have yesterday's image. So let me give you a daily image. And if you could just bear with me. Again, we'll do a channel check.
Channel check. Left channel. Left channel.
Yeah, it's the left channel. Sometimes I forget I have all of these things. I can't get this. There's a Dionne Warwick song that keeps coming in my mind. Deja Vu. Which was really like a ridiculous song. And I'm almost singing it like Popeye would. Deja Vu. Make yourself one of them submarine sandwiches. But there's a line in that song, the reason I bring it up, that goes, "This is insane." And, you know, when I think about everything that's going on right now, I just can't help but, you know, think about that. Alright, I think we'll use this as our daily image. Here's our daily image today. Somehow we're going to incorporate this into the show. That'll be new. Our title card for today, look, it says Stop the Clock, the morning show. Okay? We'll get into that. And the subtitle is Forget About Linear Time. So it's Stop the Clock. And my CPU is going way up, so I knew this was going to happen. So I gotta go turn the friggin' air conditioner on. Be right back. Deja vu. Alright, I'm back on a rocket ship. That's what it sounds like in my head. Spaceship. Oh god, I hit the microphone. I'm jumping around like a lunatic, trying to get comfortable. Look like an idiot. Feel like an idiot. Is my CPU's up to 25 point whatever, and I'm totally out of sync. Is it back yet? Yet. For no known reason? I mean, what's going on? Now it's starting to drop. It's got to be the temperature. It's got to be the temperature. Okay, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. Yeah.
Really funny. Really funny. What do you mean I'm funny? It's funny, you know. It's a good story. It's funny. You're a funny guy.
Yeah. All right. Here's the thing. I like to clear up things. Let's get some stuff cleared up first thing, okay? I'd like to clear up a great country wrong. No. I'm going to write a great country wrong. That was the name of a song in that movie with the story about some girl trying to make it in Nashville or Memphis or something. And they were going to this little club where people would have talent night, and it was weird. And this one guy wrote a song. I'm gonna write a great country wrong. Yeah, it was kind of cute. The girl was cuter. What's her name? She hasn't aged as well as you would think, but she's still cute. I don't know, that's a horrible thing to say. I mean, I haven't aged well, myself. I mean, so, but it's just, I'm just talking. It's pop cultural talk about, when you put yourself in the public eye, you open yourself to that. And having this air conditioner on now has dropped it, and everything's working fine. Anyway, here's the deal. Yesterday, I had no idea, if you watched yesterday's show, that the beach scene waves that I was playing from Trey Fergus, which he took that yesterday morning, so it was about as close, like I said, it was about as close to live as you could get, an actual beat scene. But my headphones are hooked up to my mixer, which ties in things like this, those sound effects, and this microphone, all right, which I'm not the happiest with this microphone. I mean, it just cuts out on me and stuff. And my voice was very bassy yesterday. Now, I tried to make some adjustments, but sometimes what I hear in my ear isn't perfect. And again, I'm not monetized, right? We'll get into some YouTube's craziness in a second. And not a single person has even dared to even, buy a little mug or a shirt or any of this great solar stuff or anything. So I'm like, basically, this show's like cost me a lot of money to put on, and I've been doing it, consecutively, day in, day out, 7 days a week for basically 2 hours a day, and had to purchase equipment and stuff to do it. So give me a frickin' break. So anyway, I don't have audio from this monitored, okay? And the reason that is just it's a problem with Macintosh, with Apple Mac computers. See, if I put my headphone out in this thing, it just they've messed with their whole audio setup. Like, they used to have a thing like you'd have to buy a third-party app called like so you could go sound through, right, type of thing. Because once you have a certain thing on, it wants to give you the sound from that particular app or system sound, but it won't give you that, just trust me on that. Believe me, I spent hours doing this stuff for nothing, and I'm got in debt on it. So I'm going to write A Great Country Wrong right now. That was embarrassing yesterday when I watched the show replay. So I'm going to be quiet because I won't be able to hear the sound, but I just think it would be nice for us to hear the sound of the surf. So let's do that. And I'm going to shut up. In fact, I'm going to enlarge this a little bit. And let's just watch for a second, for a minute. Wasn't that special? Wasn't that special? Well, anyway, that was yesterday on the East Coast of the U.S. That beautiful sunrise. Thanks to Trey Fergus. Thank you, Trey. And I'm sorry yesterday because I put it up like 2 or 3 times, and I had no idea that I'm like talking, commenting on it, and it's overpowering my voice, and I just wanted you to see that. We got that out of the way. That's a beautiful thing that he did. And and he does many of those types of things. All right. CPU's doing fine despite that. Now let's look at today. Today's title card, Stop the Clock. That's a clock I have in my kitchen / bar / laundry room / who knows what else. Bug house. Anyway, my left eye, I should have put some, I should have put some, I want to scratch. Sometimes you like rub your eye or something in the middle of the night. I have all this stuff. TheraTears, do you ever hear of that stuff? It's a really good eye drops. I should have put some in, but it's upstairs and I'm not going to go do that. Anyway, yeah, I have that little analog clock on my wall, and you could see the old 1970s paneling that's still on the wall there, and that's on most of the wall. Though most of the wall in the bar is covered with just beer and things from my past. It's like memory lane type of deal. Anyway, that's that. So we got that out of the way. There's the bikini, and we have daily image is the hamburger, which I don't even know if we're going to talk about that. But we need a daily image. You got to have a daily image. All right, so stop the clock. What am I talking about? Well, if you're a YouTuber, and I don't want to be a YouTuber, and I'm going to bring this up visually. I could have converted this to a JPEG file, but I deleted it yesterday. This is something that I had gotten. This is Creator Monthly, July 2021, YouTube, for my Rock Flux channel on YouTube. Okay, so let me get this here in some way, shape, or form. Everything's backwards. My life is backwards. I need to see it while I talk. Okay, you don't need to see me. Rock Flux, here's your channel. Here's how your channel did last month. 0 new subscribers, 260 views, 3,923 minutes watched. Okay, so almost 4,000 minutes watched. That means 260 views. I mean, that's less than 10 a day. 0 subscribers. Okay. Now, the point of this, every one of those numbers is ridiculous. First of all, as far as I know, I got a couple of subscribers. Second of all, 260 views, that would be great for me, because my videos are showing 1 view, 2 view, 5 views. 2 times 30, 60. 4 times 30 is 120. I wasn't averaging that. And look at the minutes watched. Almost 4,000 minutes. Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So it's all a lie, I mean, it's a weird, strange deception. It's a game they're playing. And like that Dionne Warwick thing that stuck in my head this morning. This is insane. That's the best part of the whole song, really. I think I cut that clip out of that song. I don't have that song, but, I'll play it through the old Echo Dot thing. Apparently, even they're scamming you with, I call it extortion. So I have Amazon Prime, and on Amazon Prime, you get these offers, and you get free shipping and stuff, and sometimes they ship it. Sometimes you get for 1 day shipping, 2 day shipping, and everything's fine. Sometimes it says 1 day shipping or 2 day shipping, and the thing comes next week. It's been delayed or something. It's like, no, when you tell me something, when it's, a lot of times when I order something, because I don't order I'm not a frivolous buyer, right? Face is itchy. So it's mission critical, the thing I order. Like when I had a problem with my neighbors, I ordered an alarm for my door, an extra alarm for my side gate door, and 2 motion detector lights, solar motion detector lights. They were mission critical because someone had broken in, and despite the fact that I have a security system, it was very unexpected that someone would go to that little portion of my yard and rip out basically some ferns, right? In other words, it wasn't one of my highly protected areas where I would have automatic crossbows come and impale a person next to a fence, or a submachine gun come up from the ground and and do a so it was mission critical that I got myself a loud alarm, street level, okay? Wake up the frickin' neighbors if you open that gate, try to open that gate or mess with it. And if you do, and that's going to stay on while people are going to be calling the cops and stuff, because I'm not going to turn it off, because I can turn it off. I've got remotes on it. It's a sophisticated device. But meanwhile, you're going to go back there and you're going to get hit with floodlights and stuff like that. And my cameras are going to pick you up and you're going to look, you'll be sorry you ever walked there. You kind of be wish that this submachine gun would have blown you away. But I'm a pacifist. So anyway, it was mission critical. So I had this Amazon Music thing. I know. I'm blowing your mind. It's totally ridiculous. This is insane, like the Dionne Warwick song line. Actually, Burt Bacharach, I think, wrote most of the stuff she did. And for those who just got freaked out because they think I'm some kind of, person here.
Meow 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 meow.
I should. In fact, instead of, I don't know if I have it, but let me see here. I don't. I mean, I can look for it. Let's see. This will freak out my CPU. Did I ever tell you how bad search is on the Mac? It's like the worst thing in the world. I just put a search in for kittens, which I know I have this picture of kittens, and it won't find them. Cats. All files, any files. I have this really, let's see. Oh. Well, those cats were in my backyard. Oh, that's what they're thinking of. Check this out. When I first moved here, see, I didn't even realize this. I lost track of this picture. When I first moved here, there used to be a lot of cats in the neighborhood. Some guy up the street used to feed them. I mean, this is, like I say.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And so, just to get you back into
Meow 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 meow.
So I used to get a lot of cats coming into the backyard, and that white and black cat or white and gray cat apparently was in my zucchini plant. Look how big that zucchini plant was. Wow. And I don't know what the other cat was looking at, but you can see that there's actually on the far right hand side of that thing, there's corn. There's corn growing and some wildflowers. I forgot about that. Boy, my yard has really changed since that. Well, anyway, that should change your mind. Get that, give you a little bit of like get you out of that mindset. No, but I was talking about it. So I ordered this thing. My stomach's a little upset, even though I had a base of 2 of these fiber bars before I drank this cola. That's not helping. And I got an itch here on my face. So, and it's cold, I gotta keep the air conditioner on. Okay, enough with the complaints. Let's be happy. So, and we'll get into the time thing. People have tuned. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting show. Okay, so bear with me. Stay with me. So, here's the deal. What's supposed to happen is I got the music, like Amazon Music subscription, because I have Amazon Prime, and I got like 30 days, or I don't know, a week. It had to be 30 days because it's longer than a week. And I got 2 of these, voice assistant things because I like them. I have one in my bedroom, and at nighttime I listen to this. I think it's called like Liquid Mind music or something, and I keep that on. That's what I go to sleep with, and I leave that on for I let that play for a couple hours or something. And at downstairs in my kitchen bar, place where I also have a washer and dryer, life of a bachelor, everything at my fingertips, you know what I mean? I have one there that I could plug into my sound system at the bar, so it's like my jukebox, right? So I get this email that says your free trial's running up and you've had availability to play Amazon Music on all your devices. If because I originally said it was like $7.99 with Amazon Prime, and I go, okay, I'll spend the $7.99. And which, while I talk to you, I have to remember, if I could grab it, I keep a budget. And I've got to put Amazon Music, I have to make sure I add that to this list. I'll just keep it here for now. I like to know what my monthly expenses are, and you should do that too. Keep a budget. But anyway, it's supposed to be $7.99 with Amazon Prime. So I get this thing saying, well, if you want to continue to have this on all your devices, you have to have like this extended version or whatever that's $14.99, and it's probably $14.99 plus tax, so $16, I don't know. Now you might say, well, that's just, look, $15 adds up. It's like, I canceled Netflix and I had that Paramount Plus for a while because I was watching some, binge watching a couple of series. But the point is, 10 here, 15 there, 15 here, and before you know it, you're spending $100 on a couple of pay premium channels and some music and stuff like that. And it's like, no, I am on a budgeted life. My taxes, mortgage, and insurance is $200 a month. This provides me freedom. You see? Freedom. And that way I'm not a slave, and I don't have to go work somewhere and become a wage slave. I worked my entire life. I ran businesses. I slaved. I worked hard labor jobs. When I was young, I did a lot of stuff. I worked to dig swimming pools, to install swimming pools. I had an uncle who used to have a business, did that. And we used to go in the summer, and we would have to dig to they were above ground pools. It wasn't like we were digging in, going down, 8 feet, 8 feet or something. But no, we would like have to dig ditches by hand to put in these above ground pools. But we were going down like a couple of feet to level these things off. In the like right now, it's the dog days of summer. People trying to pretend it has something to do with like climate change or something like that. It's the dog days of summer. But I've done that. Well, anyway, so they want to set this up to go to $15. And so if I want to be able to listen to my Liquid Mind music to like relax and go to sleep at night, but I also want at my downstairs bar to be able to use this as a jukebox, so when I'm having a few brews or some friend over, I got to pay I got to pay double the price. So it's like, now I have to decide. Okay, I guess I'm not gonna. Obviously the bar is gonna win out to the, the Liquid Mind. But so I got to take something away.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Take something away from my sleep. That's horrible.
You're now in a different continuum than the world you're used to.
All right. Well, let's get into this thing. So I'm people are doing live broadcast over at Locals, and I have a Locals community, Tony Caravan Live, locals.com. If you go to TonyCaravanLive.com, you could see it's just a basic website I set up temporarily because just it has all the particulars there and links. I haven't gotten into making it like, a thing. I will eventually. Like I say, on a rainy day. It's just that I've been so busy and the weather's been pretty nice. And between the garden and everything else I'm doing, and like today after the show, I've got to go to the grocery store and I've got stuff to do. So blah, blah, blah. Don't want to waste your time. I do want to get into this discussion. So, and now I lost my train of thought. No. So I want to YouTube, because of this thing that I showed you earlier, these absurd numbers, that don't even make sense, right? You get, 3,900 minutes watched, but it just doesn't jibe with when you look at if you go to my Rock Flux, my YouTube channel is called Rock Flux, and you look underneath views, you'll see 2, 4, 5. There was one maybe got 33 or something. But the point is, they're messing with me because people like, how people like to do things in en masse. So they see someone has 31,000 views, so they'll watch that video. They see some guy like me has 2 views, they go, I must forget about that. Yet I'm giving you more information, and I'm doing this 7 days a week, forever. I've got a couple hundred of these videos up. It's crazy. And I see people that there'll be something I touch on in one show, and I do a better job of explaining the thing or demonstrating the thing or even showing a device or something, and some clown will get like 31,000 views to like, here's how this device works, here's a new thing out, right? And I've already like done that, and I got 2 views. Okay, so that's that. So I hope I can do live at Locals, So, Dave Rubin, I hope that works, and whatever it is. And that's worth spending a couple bucks extra for me. Now, so as far as YouTube is concerned, and all these problems I have, with this interface. But I think I have it mostly working pretty good. So again, I get on these tangents. I'm on this like tangential like thing today. I need a little more caffeine or something like that. Kind of woke up at 1 o'clock, and I almost felt like I've been up since 1 o'clock, to be honest with you. I just lost one of my few viewers just left, I guess, because I didn't start talking about the time. What I was saying was, in YouTube, if you are a YouTuber, you're familiar with a guy named Alan Watts. We just lost another person. So now there's nobody watching, I don't think. So Alan Watts is a guy, philosopher from back in the 60s, and apparently he did so many speeches that they've been recorded, and so they're all over YouTube, you know. And you know, the guy says a lot of really cool stuff, really profound, you know, great speaker, you know, has this really interesting laugh that he brings in, and it's no holds barred, talks about, you know, topics of everything, but it's really, you know, it's life, you know, changing in some ways, right? And, you know, so he was kind of the inspiration. I always give credit, you know, where credit's due. You know, I'm not one of these people that just take something from somebody without giving credit. Well, there was a discussion one time he was talking about, and he was getting into the idea of time, but he was more talking about how, you know, changing your life, or, you know, it was in that vein. And what I'm saying is, in my idea, that time is, okay, first of all, I never bought into the Einstein space-time thing, and I'm not alone in that. And remember, you know, Einstein's theory of relativity is a theory, right? See, people forget that. It's like they forget the word theory. And this isn't the first time I've touched on this. It's the same with the Big Bang theory, all right? They like somehow, like the word theory, it's as if they didn't hear that part of it. So they go, oh, the Big Bang. No, it's the Big Bang theory. You know, it's Einstein's theory of relativity, right? Darwin's theory, okay? These are all theories. Now, I'm not here to say you know, Darwin's wrong, or, you know, or the Big Bang isn't real, or something like that. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if something is a theory, remember, it's a theory, okay? And that theory has to be proven, all right, to become, you know, to where we actually accept it as fact, scientific fact. And to date, and I have seen countless evidence that points to, you know, and I'm talking about astrophysics and things of that nature, that point to the idea that Einstein's theory of relativity has a lot of holes in it, right? And, you know, in fact, you know, the theory of everything, which everyone's searching for, when you get into the microscopic, you know, particle physics and things like that, it totally, Einstein theories fall apart. But this idea of space-time being linked together, all right, to me is an absurdity, and when you look at it, it's ridiculous. And it's the same with the way the idea that based upon gravity. And I'm not going to get too heavy with you, but I want to give you an example. And you know, I probably could have made a sketch of this or something. I could do it on the fly, but you could imagine this. A lot of times when they show how gravity works and how time is affected by gravity and you know, space time, all right, that's one unit, is they'll show like this dip, you know, there'll be like some kind of grid in space, and they'll show a dip like a, you know, as if a bowling ball, like I say to people, I did in one of my books, I wrote about this, like imagine a bowling ball on a weak mattress, right? It makes an indentation, right? You know, or a bowling ball on a trampoline is a much better way of saying it, right? You know, it's gonna push down that trampoline, that, you know, whatever it's made of, that rubber or whatever. And then that way, if you took say a cue ball or something, then their explanation for how like planets revolve and how things work, their gravity idea is then that ball, the cue ball, the bowling ball's indenting the trampoline, and now this smaller cue ball, because there's this indentation in like this, that cue ball's gonna like kind of spin around, and eventually it would hit the center, be drawn into the center. But you know, there are other forces they claim that, you know, keep things at bay, right? But eventually, you know. But anyway, that's not even how our solar, you know, so there's two problems with that. One is, well, if this is if gravity indents, then what's under here? What's under the trampoline? You see? It's not a three-dimensional, right? In other words, they've combined space-time to explain a four-dimensional concept, right? And so, no, it isn't space-time. It's space. There's space out there. This is all space. And then there's this thing, time, which we kind of created. And this thing, time, when we look at the clock, you know, this is a you know, it's a chronos, right? If you go back to the root of time, chrono, you know, basically it's just a matter of us chronologically, so to speak, keeping track of things, all right? And we see time as this linear thing, all right? You know, and that's why people say, oh, you can't have time travel, right? And Einstein was into this thing, oh, you had to travel at the speed of light and all this, that, the other, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. So I want to explain something. I get, you know, this is an idea. I'm sorry. I'm gonna scratch my ankle. So CPU's doing fine and I'm freezing. So anyway, that's wrong. You know, it just doesn't follow logic, you know, and people just accept these things. And then they keep teaching it to the next generation, and the next generation just keeps accepting it. You know, and you know, and people have come up with alternative ideas and alternative theories. They're just not, you just don't hear about them. So what I'm saying is that you can't describe 4 dimensions, you know, with the 3-dimension in the 3-dimension model, and so I'm not interested in even further discussing that. So now you have then you have the issue of linear time now. Well, what you want to do, and this is the part that kind of like where Watts, you know, inspired me, but he was talking in a different vein, but it's something that I think this is worth like thinking about. So I'm saying stop the clock, all right? But I really mean to stop time, all right? You just stop time. And the title of this show, you know, that I have is, you know, basically forget about linear time, all right, altogether. Let's just forget about linear time. You know, so, and rather than even, you know, because I put this title card together pretty fast this morning, and I probably should have said stop time instead of stop the clock. But I put the clock up and I was like, you know, just getting up, and it's like stop the clock. But it's the same thing. All right. So time is a measurement that we use because of cyclical events that occur in the cosmos. You know, in other words, we measure what we call the time it takes the Earth to revolve around the sun, or the time that the Earth makes a revolution, you know, day and night, right? The time, like the time of the season, right? Everything is time. The moon, you know, many moons ago. But these are just humans basically saying this, right? You know, it's not as if it's an actual thing, right? It's nothing you can grasp. It you know, that's why he coupled it with space-time, basically. I mean, there's other reasons, but it's a cop-out. It's like mathematicians, you know, they like make these formulas that describe something on a chalkboard, but when you really look at it, it's like, yeah, that's right, that formula makes sense, that stuff, but it's just a bunch of scribbling on a chalkboard. This, you know, why should I believe? What does that have to do with the real world? You know, with like physical, you know, bodies, you know? And so if you want to, as you go through life, right? I'm saying stop time and take a left or right turn. In other words, if you want to believe in linear time, okay, believe in linear time. That's fine with me. But here's what I'm doing. Here's linear time. Well then, why don't you go take a left or go take a right? See, they say you can't go backwards or forward. See, this is another flaw in their system. Well, why can't I go left, right, at an angle category? Do you see what I mean? In other words, these concepts that we are given, all right? Well, that's how, like, that's what people don't question stuff, because at an early age, when we're in grade school, or, you know, they put kids in nursery schools now, they condition the mind, they program the brain to think a certain way and not to question things and look outside, like, you know, look outside, you know, the box or whatever, for lack of a better way of saying it. So yeah, okay, so time is this linear thing, and I'm saying, wait a second, well, what if I take a left or a right? You're saying I can't. You're saying I can't jump ahead in time into the future, and I can't go back in time in the past. But you never told me I can't take a left or a right or an angle this way. You know, if a circle is 360 degrees, right? I mean, I'd like to draw this. Let me just do something really goofy, you know, because I'm just doing this on the fly, and I want to make sure. Some people don't. You got to like show them a visual. Blank sheet of paper. All right. At the top is linear time. Okay, this is the past. This is the future. Okay, see that? Past, future. Okay. Now, if you have a circle which is 360 degrees, okay, and your time let's look at time in a different way. So let's just, all I'm doing is, it's the same arrow, I'm just putting a circle over there. So the past, it's the same straight line. Okay. Well, what's to say that I can't go like this, and I'll hold this up in a second. You know, this. Do you see? They're saying, they say, oh, you can't go to the past, you can't travel to the past, you can't travel to the future, right? Or, you know, you can alter time with the speed of light, blah, 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 and stuff like that. But you see what I mean? They're pushing that line at the top. This one. This linear. Let's just put this here. Linear time. And it goes in one direction. Linear time. The past goes to the future, and we're somewhere in the middle. All right? But they never really talk about, right, where their theory falls apart is that if you're going from the past to the future, what happens if you take a left? There's 360 degrees, but it goes beyond that. It's not really 360 degrees, and I can't do it. What if that circle wasn't a circle? What if it was a beach ball? All right? So let's add another dimension to it. You see? Because this is just a two-dimensional drawing. So let's make that 3D, which I obviously can't do right now. All right? And you can go in any of those directions. Well, where are they? Where is that? What is that? Right? And isn't it weird that if I, for some reason, decided to put a 12, a 3, a 6, and a 9, that suddenly that looks like a clock? And then suddenly we're dealing with the thing we've adapted as a clock for time measurement, which is interesting. See, I'm messing with your mind, right? But see, what I'm trying to get at here, and I get this air conditioner on so much, it's like actually making my nose run a little bit. Forgive me. And my microphone wants to cut out. Come on. I'm sorry, that probably is messing up your speakers. There's no reason to do this. This is a brand new microphone. I mean, relatively brand new. I bought it, ordered it, came in a box a couple months ago. I'll tell you, they make junk today. Okay, so just to put this in where it doesn't get distorted. So this is what I'm trying to say. Now, so what I'm getting at, now forget the 12, 3, 6, and 9, the clock idea. That's just something to blow your mind, right? Look at linear time at the top of this, past, future, linear time, and you're probably, say you are where the R is in linear up top. But there's no different. You also could be the dot in the center of that circle that I've also made look like a clock. But linear time, and let me just, make that thicker on this picture. Linear time is the thick line in the center. Okay? And obviously that goes upwards to the future. But see, they never talk about going to the left, the right, or anywhere else, or let alone this would be a 3D model. But what if it were even 4D, right? 4 dimensions. Even Einstein, space-time. So this is how like I have a shirt on TonyCaravanLive.com. It all comes back to that. And it comes back to the thing up here. Where is it? Here we go. Everything you know is wrong, right? And my other shirt that I'm not wearing today, but it says, you don't know what you don't know. And that idea being, we are, literally, education system indoctrinates us into this way of thinking. These bioelectric brains, right? With this android body that we have, right? Very sophisticated android body, right? But we have consciousness, you know, or what people call a soul, a spirit, right? And I always say life is about a soul experience, a conscious experience, your consciousness. I wrote a book back here, it's called Codex, and it talks about the hard problem of consciousness, and some AI and some other things. Get it? It's on Amazon. Read it. It opens up. In other words, what I try to do is I try to deprogram you, all right, from what they've done to you, how they've messed with our minds, right? And don't allow us to we don't even question something like this. And I'm sure there's some physicists out there and mathematicians will say, oh, well, you have to, and they could scribble all this stuff they want to on a chalkboard. But the point is, it's not about mathematical formulas, right? It's like, no, I'm telling you that a bowling ball on a trampoline is not a viable explanation for gravity, because that's what's underneath the dip. You see, their models don't work in the real world. Their mathematical formulas fall apart in the real world. Their concept of time falls apart on, this is an index card. I don't know if I get close enough, you could see the lines on it. A good old-fashioned index card. I love these things. I use these all the time to write notes on and stuff. You could buy a pack of 100 of them for like $1 or 50 cents at dollar store or Walmart or something. Okay? So that's just a prime example of like the flaw, right? And so what I'm saying is, if you look at the circle, the thick line going from the past to the future, take a left and go to the 9, right? Or take one of those arrows somewhere on the right hand side and go to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or somewhere in between 4 and 5, various minutes. Or what about if you go this way or that way? You see? Because those are possibilities once you start thinking in 3D, and forget about 4D, right? And that's how crazy this whole nonsense is, and then you have these like other concepts of like an X and Y axis, right? And let me just do this, where this whole thing has and these things this is interesting ideas. Believe me, I had no idea I was even going to do this. But then you could even look at it in a sense like this, where there's this X and Y axis, and it's some kind of three-dimensional, and you can imagine bending and warping that whole thing. It's a very simple thing that was never dawned on the average person. Very simple, right? But it's one of those things that's right in your face if you've ever looked at an analog clock. Most people use digital clocks now. Their clock on their smartphone. So soon, they'll even, but isn't it kind of a weird, weird thing? So it's almost like the idea is that the clock itself is telling you that the concept you have of time is wrong, is flawed. The clock itself. It's right in your face. It's trying to show you that, hey, your concept of time is wrong. You know, and that's so weird. No weird? Now imagine how many other ways they're messing with your mind. You know? Because and I could go through all kinds of things that they do. And you know, as a child is being, you know, thrown into these, you know, is given a concept, is taught a thing as a fact. Then the child just accepts that. And then the brain becomes programmed, conditioned to just not see things, you know, outside of, you know, in this case, linear time, say. But in other ways, just to not, and so that's how they control us, right? And so by the time a child is even in 6th grade, what was it Marx said? All he needs is give him a child for 4 years, and that's all he needed. That was an actual line from Marx. Give me a child for 4 years, and I could, you know, mess with their brain enough that I've converted them, changed them for the rest of their life. And so yeah, so you can imagine, but before a kid even gets to junior high, their mind is put through a blender, and it's basically those pathways, you know, the synapses, you know, all this bioelectric activity that goes on in this gelatinous mold inside this skull, right, of this meat suit, right? Because that's not your consciousness, that's not your soul, that's not you. You are consciousness, right? Consciousness reacts through the brain. And even modern science at least accepts that as the hard problem of consciousness. They have no explanation for consciousness. They don't know where it comes from. They openly admit that. That's like I said, you know, in my book, that's one of the issues of the day, you know, that is being studied by some of the greatest minds, right? The hard problem of consciousness. Chalmers was the guy who coined that phrase, by the way. And so, yeah, just a simple example, you know, to just get to show you, you know, that the truth sometimes is in plain sight, but it's hard, you know, we don't see it, right? People say things and we don't listen to what they say. And so we're being controlled. And what I'm saying is stop the clock. I'm saying stop time. You know, go to the left, go to the right. And I don't mean politics, you know? Think about that. You know, let that spin around in your, you know, noodle for a little while. But it's you know, it's a, you know, it's a brain game. It's a, you know, it's a mental exercise. It's the idea of getting you to think more openly, you know, and to just not really accept what you're being told all the time. It's not black and white. It's not left and right, you know. It's not red and blue. You know, that's not existence. You know, it's much more complicated than that. Yesterday's show, you know, about the beauty of nature. You know, it's not CO2, you know, or carbon-based fuels, right? You've got to also talk about the sun. You see what I mean? You're conditioned to accept something. It's like the concept of the leader, or what I call the Pied Piper, right? That's another thing you're conditioned in school. You sit at this desk, and there's someone in front, and they are the person in charge. And then there are rules. and then they ring the bell, you know, and like Pavlov's dog, you salivate to the bell, right? The bell means it's time to get up and change. You see, they're conditioning you to do things, and you have to, and it's like, I'm not saying that living in a society, you know, that you ignore everything. You have to, a society has certain parameters for it to be, you know, less chaotic than it already is, right? So, I mean, but societies, in human beings generally, it is a very chaotic existence. You know, there's no such thing as, you know, like some people say, order out of chaos, blah blah blah. Well, that's all nonsense. The fact of the matter is, like in the U.S. alone, you have 20,000 homicides a year. Right? It's a government statistic a couple of years ago was like 19,000 some. It's approximately 20,000 homicides a year. And do you know that the national average is something like only something like 60% of those, I forget how many go unsolved. In like Manhattan, I think only 30% of the homicides are solved. Places like that. I mean, 70% of the people get away with murder. And there's, you know, and in the country, there's like 20,000 homicides. You know, they don't want the people to know that kind of stuff. But so, you know, society, humans are it's chaotic by nature. You know, people who have studied this, like from anthropologists to people who are just into, you know, biology, that, you know, there's certain, once we get over groups of like, I forget what it is, but it's something like 100, somewhere between 100 and 200, but it's closer to the 100. Once you get something like 100 some humans together, you know, then usually those groups would have moved apart because there's too much conflict, you know, and so we don't, we function better in micro communities of like groups of like 120, say. I'm just throwing that out arbitrarily. Something like that. And when you start dealing with these hundreds of millions of people, like in the U.S., and some situated here in the former United States, as I call it, you know, it's chaos. It's chaos. And so the so-called ruling elite, the powers that be, what I call the corporatocracy, because we don't really have a government, you know, that's another thing like this, linear time. I could make another card to show you how politics and all of that is the same thing, that you're conditioned and conformed to believe that this thing exists when in reality it doesn't exist. Okay? You know, we don't have this is a corporatocracy. You know, we don't have it's not the government that they teach you about, you know, and I've pointed that out many times, right? You know, the most recent one, you know, the one that I jackhammer into people's minds is that the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law, and it goes into all the freedoms, you know, but basically abridging the freedom of speech, right, or freedom of assembly, right, or the right to redress, you know, the government with grievances. But Congress shall make no law is the first three words of the Bill of Rights, the Constitution of the United States, which goes on to say, to abridging freedom of speech. Now that's the law of the land. That's the Constitution of what I call the former United States of America. Now the social media companies and the media, which is all encompassing now, because that includes Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and all of these places, as well as TV, radio, newspapers, and every other crazy websites now that consider themselves everybody's news person, right? Media. Well, they have terms of service, right? So I had a line on one of my things: the Constitution giveth, and terms of service taketh away. Think about that one. The Constitution giveth, and terms of service taketh away. Well, you can't have the Constitution, the law of the land, say Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, and then have some private company, someone saying, well, it's a private company. Well, does that mean the private company has the right to commit murder, right? Robbery, right? Well, yeah, they do, because they are robbing us day in, day out. But I mean, in other words, there are certain things, inalienable rights, so to speak, but terms of service can't supersede the Constitution. This has nothing to do with private. It's a private company. They could. No, this is a right, a right given to you is the freedom of speech. That right can't be taken away by a term of service. You see? But they condition us to accept this. And people just don't even question it. They go, well, yeah, they're private companies. They have the right to do that. It says Congress shall make no law. That means Congress can't even grant them that. They would have to. I used the example before for new people because so few people watch this show. It's the example of prohibition. They outlawed drinking in the U.S. and they passed an amendment called prohibition. Couldn't drink. Well, the only way that you were allowed, and it caused mayhem. It was, Chicago, Al Capone, bang bang, shoot 'em up, right? Elliot Ness and all that craziness, right? Bootleggers, all that stuff. The speakeasies, right? Plenty of stories about that. And so it was too much mayhem, and so the only way they could bring back drink, your ability to legally have a beer, was they actually had to pass an amendment, because that's how the Constitution is designed. It's not a matter, Congress couldn't say, oh, okay, well, prohibition's over now. No, because there was an amendment to the Constitution that said for prohibition. So they had to pass, there was a couple other ones in between, but then they had to pass another amendment that said prohibition, basically, in effect, prohibition is over. So if they want to pass this Section 230, whatever the thing that the social media hides behind, right? The thing about that is, no, it's unconstitutional. And so where's your Supreme Court? Where are your judges, right? It says Congress shall make no law abridging freedom of speech. It's black and white. It's right in your face, okay? I mean, it's just another example, right, of conditioning and how they messed you up. I'm freezing my Kanookies off. I got to get up. I'll be right back. I have to walk across the room and turn the air conditioner off. I don't care what the CPU does. I'll be right back. And I dropped my wire. Man, it's so cold in here, the heat's gonna go on. I mean, I'm literally like freezing. Crazy. Crazy for believing this stuff. Yeah, oh man. The noise, too, was outrageous. I don't know if I was coming over on the microphone or not. So, by the way,
Good morning.
wow, that was loud. So yeah, I mean that's it. So, I'm just using the clock example and stop the clock, stop time, and to take this into an idea that you can do the direction of your life. All right, what you believe, what you're being forced to believe, literally forced, right? Because you're conditioned and programmed. Excuse me. And so that's coercion. And and not many people that I know of really talk like this. They don't really bring this stuff out. And you have to question everything. But some of us, not me. I mean, I was questioning stuff when I was in high school, grade school even. And that was, I had the underground newspaper when I was in high school. I was always looking at stuff thinking, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. Or why should I do that? And isn't it interesting, kids that are kind of raised at home, forget about the ones, now you've got these professional people that as soon as maternity leave is over, they dump the kid off into some kind of infant daycare, right? And that infant is raised by the so-called nanny state straight on through into college, and then they get some college degree that gives them, there's nothing they can do with it. No actual, they can't perform anything, right? Which is another nightmare that we're seeing unfold before our eyes. Some 50 million people. Where's my... I'll tell you, man. I try and I try to... when you're working on a shoestring budget and you got other bills to pay, it's crazy just to even get comfortable on a chair. On a CPU, hopefully it stays where it is. So, yeah, so people are raised by the nanny state now. But you notice, what I'm about to say when I say it. You know how kids that are raised at home, they always say that thing. Sometimes it gets on your nerves, I babysat for my sister and my brother had kids, and so a couple of times, over the years, and they've, you get a kid when they're a certain age, at young age, 3, 4, 5, 3 or 4 maybe. I don't know what age it is. Can't remember. It's been a long time since I babysat for a relative. But they say, you talk about something, and they say, why? Right? And then you say, well, because, such and such and such and such. And then the kid will say, but why? Right? And you say, well, because this and that, and then that, and that. But why? Right? Everyone knows that. Anybody's been around a child like that age, like 3, 4, before they go to school, all right? In the old days, before they were indoctrinated as infants, Nowadays, I don't think they probably don't do that. Maybe they do. But if you are, a mother who's raising a child, knows what I'm talking about, right? Why? See, because the child's mind is still open. In other words, the child would say, would be like, why? Why the bowling ball? on the trampoline. What's underneath? You see? And it's funny, the brilliance of a child, the sheer brilliance of their innocence and their open-mindedness, right? Because they have not been programmed, conditioned, and a word you don't really want to hear, indoctrinated. Because that's really what goes on. So that society could be run and controlled a certain way. So they can control 330 million people. Just like the World Economic Forum folks, the Davos people, have to deal with the problem of 8 billion people on the planet. But these ruling elitists, they just number in the thousands. You've seen it. If you watch a financial news network or BBC or anything like that, Sky News, Bloomberg, when they hold Davos, the World Economic Forum, that gets covered by the media, by the financial media, it's a red carpet event. Well, there may be several thousand people. And they've got their assistants, and then they have go back to their, these multi-billionaires, and then they have their companies and stuff, but their support staffs and stuff like that they're not players, they're just support staff. So the so-called ruling elite just number in the thousands. Think about that. And there's 8 billion people on the planet. But back to this former United States, Western civilization has fallen. I mean, the UK is in bad shape, basically, as well. Well, what do they do with 330 million people? Well, they've already figured that out a long time ago. That's when they started putting administrators into school systems. And sifting through curriculum. In many cases, there are more administrators involved in the school systems within a city than there are teachers. They're also higher paid than the teachers. They don't need a union or anything like that, right? And so that's what they do. And so their job is to condition, program, indoctrinate people so they can control them and create this idea of, salivate to the ringing of the bell, that there's the leader, the Pied Piper at the head of the classroom, right? Follow these are rules, right? Yeah, and that's how it's done, and our science works the same way. That's what I was trying to explain, and these are perfect examples. You could come up with hundreds of examples of how our minds have been so messed with, and that that childlike to ask the question why. They don't. You're not allowed to ask why. See, that's the other part of the First Amendment of the Constitution: redress your government with grievance, right? It's what did we experience in the past 2 years? If someone questioned this thing, which I can't even talk about, you're not allowed to talk about, all right? If someone questioned it, they were instantaneously silenced, banned, or in many cases just erased. Now, think about that. That's pretty bizarre. Well, it's not pretty bizarre. It is bizarre. What are they afraid of? Somebody questioning something, right? Why would you be afraid of basically, you know, like I say, you know, when I used to read the newspapers in the old days, when I'd drive the, you know, take the commuter train into work, you know, with all the other guys wearing my suit, reading a newspaper on the way to work. I went through that stage. And there were always these things called op-ed pieces. Well, they still have them, but they're not like they were before. You know, people would really question things, you know. And so what's the difference between questioning, why aren't we allowed to op-ed? You can't do that, see? You know. It's pretty weird. Don't mind me, I keep looking down at my CPU performance. Because if the number goes up, then I start freezing up. See, I got a choice. I could either like freeze on the screen or turn the air conditioner on and physically freeze. Another interesting idea. So, yeah, we're conditioned, we're controlled, you know. And so by the time a person reaches adulthood, man, their brain is fried. You know, they're fried. And so then the media takes over, and they have a thing called propaganda. So that, you know, if you repeat a lie long enough, that lie becomes the truth in people's minds. Right? They copied this old, you know, all that old stuff that the, you know, communists and the Nazis and stuff created, you know, back 100 years ago or more, you know, in Marx's case. And that's what goes on. When people just, they don't question it. Maybe some people want to question it, and we know that they have, and those people have been erased. Okay? They lose their job. They lose their ability to function in society. Just because they have a question, like a child. Why? You know? Or explain it to us. Or I heard this. Can you tell me is there any truth to that? And you don't get a straight answer. They just say, well, no, it is what it is. No, you can't talk about that. That's, you know, that's wrong speak. It's very interesting, you know, very interesting. So I'm saying just stop the clock, stop time. You know, veer to the left, you know, veer to the right. Go catty corner. Whatever. Think of time in 3D as a beach ball, you know? And it's summertime, go to the beach and get some vitamin D and some sun and boost your immune system. Have some fun. Play volleyball, you know? Man, it's weird, isn't it? Isn't it really weird what's going on? You know? Really, really weird. Like I say, I got rid of TV. You know, because the news never. I've been involved in. I was a creative director of an advertising agency, and I've been involved in entertainment and publishing and things like that. So I know the media and radio. Of course, I was a general manager of a radio station. So I've been involved in the media, you know. So I know all that. I know, like, behind the scenes how things work. But what the heck is going on outside my door? They're like drilling a hole. These guys have been, look, the infrastructure in the U.S. will never be repaired. These guys have been trying to, they fix these, replace some sewer pipes, basically, right? Upgrade, right? The 100-year-old thing. This is like they talk about fixing infrastructure around the country. Well, let me tell you from firsthand experience, and believe me, forget about anything you hear on TV or anything you see on Twitter, Facebook, or whatever. If you want to know something, you got to see it firsthand or talk to somebody you know who saw it firsthand. Forget about what someone tweeted or a picture or a meme. And I'm telling you firsthand, here's what's going on. These people for 2 years, and this is no major thoroughfare. This is just a street. Remember, and it's not even a big street. Remember, I said my mortgage, taxes, and insurance are less than $200, okay? This is no grand neighborhood, okay? They're digging up right now in front of there's like a hardware plumbing store or something across the street, catty corner from me. I talked to the woman who owns the place. This is the third time they're digging up the pipes they fixed there, because this contracting firm, which is a huge contracting firm, the type of ones they would have. This is one street in one city in an entire country, and this is the third time. This is just one spot that they've screwed up so much that they're re-digging up the hole. And then the woman's husband, who's was a plumber his whole life, involved in this kind of stuff, looked at the materials they were using. He said those materials are subpar materials that have a life expectancy of 10 years at best, and that would be under ideal conditions, meaning not underground with vehicles, trucks going over them. And so what's happening is the seals are breaking. They don't know what they're doing. So the US of A, I don't know about other parts of the world, but the US infrastructure is crumbling and has been crumbling for decades now. And they're talking about fixing the infrastructure and passing these bills and money and stuff to do it. But there's nobody that knows what to do anymore. They have these big, conglomerates, these big contracting firms that they hire. And they've got all the vehicles and all that kind of stuff to do it, but they don't know what the hell they're doing. And so I'm telling you firsthand, and this is annoying as hell to me. It's 7:34 in the morning, and they're out there, with the world's biggest saw. If you look back at one of the title cards to one of my earlier videos, I took a picture of it when they were doing it right in front of my house. I think actually they are. So they're re-digging up in front of my house right now. No wonder it's so loud. Man, are we in trouble. And you look out there, you look at these guys, and most of them are like pot-bellied, middle-aged or older type of men. There's no women out there. These Department of Transportation type of companies used to have the flag girl. I talked about that yesterday. Used to stand there and stop traffic and then proceed slowly. Used to be some cute girl or something. Used to make about 20 some bucks an hour. It was a good job. Well, now they replaced that with a droid. It's a red light, green light, and like a toll booth arm. And so the light turns green, and then the cars could pass, and then it turns red, and then it comes down. So they don't even allow the woman, to do that, even though I don't see why a woman can't operate a piece of machinery if she wanted to. But yeah, you got a bunch of old men out there that don't know what they're doing. So let alone, I don't see anybody in their 20s or 30s. Because they all went to college and have student debt or out on the streets. We want this, we want that, we want, some kind of thing. I'm like, whoa, man, is this country in trouble? This place is going to fall apart so quickly. I've watched billionaires be interviewed. Because you could tell from my mind, I'm the guy, I'm the why. Hey, why? Right? So I have a low tolerance for like fluff. I can't just watch mindless stuff. Friends of mine say, hey, you got Netflix, you should watch this show, or you got that Paramount thing, you should watch this show. I can't watch that. I've got to watch something that's like, something that gives me, that really, draws me in and is is mentally challenging. Right. I just canceled both those services, by the way. But yeah, it's scary. But I watch these billionaires talk, and they're all saying, hey, man, by the fall or next year at the latest, we're talking about depression, And these are the same guys who were right about, 2008 collapse, So, get your ducks in order, or ducks in a row, whatever it is, and figure it out, because it's crazy. It's crazy what's going on. And people just are so conditioned, like I said, that they're thinking two-dimensionally. They're programmed to just like, they basically programmed the last two generations to accept an authoritarian rule, a totalitarian, state. So people are just accepting this. They're not questioning it. When, like I said, that thing I brought up about just the First Amendment alone, people be like, what's he talking about? They're private companies. It's like elections. Like I tell people about, I'm so tired of it. Over the years, see, I'm not political anymore at all. I mean that completely. Not absolutely not, because I know that the corporatocracy runs things. In other words, big tech, big pharma, military contractors, financial Wall Street. These are they have the influence. Used to call it K Street and the lobbyists, right? I call it the corporatocracy. But they're the ones that pressure politicians. I don't care who you think you are. They're the ones in charge. It's a corporatocracy. And even your favorite cult of personality, hero, is not immune to their control, their manipulation. And if worse comes to worse, these people are so powerful, they'll just threaten them, or like they do, they'll Epstein them, right? Or go after them with the courts, or with frivolous stuff. So when you donate, I get these emails, because in the past I went back and forth, I've been around the block. So I've supported people on the left, I've supported people on the right, I just don't anymore. I'm done with politics. I'm done, absolutely done. I'm not a centrist. I'm not a leftist. I'm not a right. I'm not a centrist. I'm a nothing. All right? I'm a human. I'm a humanist or whatever. I believe in people and peace and love. Okay? Living your life. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is about as political a statement as you'll get out of me. All right? It's like I got a flag over there, I'm an American because that's where I am and blah, blah, blah. But I'm no political leanings. But, there were times I gave, people be shocked, I supported Bernie Sanders. I still get emails from Our Revolution, right? Or one, that's a left thing. Supported somebody, donated something through One. And yes, it's true. I donated money to Republicans, over the years. All right? I don't do any of that anymore. But I still get emails, and I unsubscribe. When you unsubscribe, then you get like double the emails, right? Because unsubscribing is like that just means, hey, that guy really exists, right? So, I have so much junk mail because I have to junk them, So I'm getting all this stuff from all sides of, libertarians, Democrats, Republicans, Green Party, independents, all this stuff. It's all politics. I imagine the stuff other people must be getting. And they're all asking for money. And like I say, I'm not political anymore. I'm sorry. Sometimes in the past, I believed I would hear a moving speech. I would read a platform and I would go, maybe that guy will make a difference. Or maybe what this girl's saying is right, To be honest with you, the only candidate that I thought in recent years, the strongest candidate, in recent times, is like Tulsi Gabbard. She's the one who had a lot of sensible, common sense thing. And she left politics, as far as I know. But be that as it may, the idea is that when you donate to these other politicians, that money just goes to the media, to commercials. And as you know yourself, and I say this all the time, but it bears repeating, if you believe in a certain ideology, a commercial's not going to change your mind. So why are you donating your hard-earned money or using your credit card and getting in debt to support some cult of personality character when that money is simply just going to go to a commercial or to pay for a jumbotron at a rally or airfare for a candidate? I mean, come on, be real. This country is a corporatocracy. Big Pharma will decide what's done. All right? Big Tech makes the rules, the terms of service. Remember? The Constitution giveth, right? And the terms of service taketh away. The former Federal Reserve Chairman is now the Treasury Secretary. Talk about a revolving door. All right? We have eyes and how many? I haven't done it in so long that I might as well just do it. Where is it? Well, first of all, let's look at some ex-presidents. We have Roosevelt.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Of course that, if only people would deal with that. But where is our, where's Ike? I haven't played this in a while, and it's worth playing. Where did it go? Where is it? I know I have it. I'm going to play it now because I built it up. I have to play it. Okay, come on now. Let's see. Here we go.
This evening, in the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
It's a former president of the United States, a general, warning about the military-industrial complex, that for years the term military-industrial complex, if you used it, they said you were a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. All right? Until suddenly the video emerged, and people now are aware that, it's real. So you've got big tech, you've got the military-industrial complex, you've got the consortium of central bankers, Wall Street, traders, big pharma, big tech. That's the corporatocracy. That's who's in control of governments. And above them is this Davos set. That's a consortium of all the other former Western civilization and along with dictatorships in other countries. And they basically, in effect, are an organized crime syndicate, for crying out loud. I mean, they're totalitarians. And the last two generations have been so brainwashed and conditioned that they don't even question this stuff. I mean, there are people out there questioning it. But a lot of them are asking the wrong questions. Or they're trying to change the system. It's like, the MAGA thing now is Save America. And the other side is Build Back Better. Well, two very naive phrases to begin with. Build back better. Save America. How do you save America? It's already gone. It's a corporatocracy. What are you going to do? Are you going to drain the swamp? Drain the swamp. The swamp is no longer the problem. I was trying to tell this many episodes ago. Big tech, while is in bed in some instances with the swamp, so to speak. Like, for example, the CIA servers are hosted by Amazon, and Google has been involved with DARPA and all that kind of stuff. I mean, those things, there's this inner, kind of incestuous relationship with what we would call, the alphabet agencies and some big tech companies. But generally speaking, what a lot of people don't realize is that big tech doesn't like the bureaucracies in DC. See, big tech wants total control. They have more data. See, really pisses off the NSA and the CIA is that Google has more data than they do, right? Apple, just people who have an iPhone, has more information, demographic information available, and Google at their fingertips, than the NSA is able to collect. And so the NSA, just the same way they used to tap into the transcontinental phone lines back in the old days, they tap those, right? Well, now they've got their things tapped into all the big tech companies and stuff like that. But it's madness. It's crazy what's going on. And people who think you're going to save America or build back better is pure fantasy. It is literally fantasy for you to believe that. It's the former United States, man. And what you have to do is you've got to get your act together. You've got to, if you want to live life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, you have to take charge of your own life. You have to do it yourself. It's like what I did. You have to live simple, live free. It doesn't mean giving up the quality of life. My quality of life is fine. All right? I just live within my means. But I look at all this stuff. I embrace technology. I have it. I use it, this, that, the other. But I am no longer a wage slave or subject. I keep myself as detached as possible from this corporatocracy. And I've totally removed myself from any political bullshit. And going forward, that's it. And as things fall apart, when you have 50 million people unemployed and like these clowns out in the street, these, so-called contractors that don't even know, can't fix a pipe in one city, one street in one city. Well, there's tens of thousands of cities in the U.S. that have these problems. Tens of thousands. And you think they're going to pass an infrastructure bill and suddenly they're going to do this? It's like, it ain't going to happen. It's like even, the Department of Transportation in the state I used to live in admitted openly years ago, it was just a thing they said, it's an ongoing process. So what they meant is that when they're fixing a road or a bridge on one side of the state or whatever, that as they work their way throughout the state, by the time they get to the other side of the state or the rest of the state, they have to go back to where that other one was. It's time to repair that again. In other words, it's an ongoing process. And we're at a situation now where infrastructure is crumbling, falling apart. There are 100-year-old gas lines, 100-year-old sewage lines, water lines, right, that require like Herculean efforts, right? And were done by people, brilliant people, right? And we just simply don't have those kind of tradespeople anymore. These were people that came from Europe, right? In the great, days of the migration of the Europeans, the people that built Europe, there's buildings in Europe that are 1,000 years old, hundreds of years old. And those craftsmen, those type of people came over here and they made a life and they built this country. That's America is a country of immigrants, obviously. Excuse me. I mean, apart from the indigenous people in America, the so-called cities were built by, people who came in from Europe, and they had trades, right? And we don't have that society. We've gotten soft, right? We don't have, people go to college and they get some kind of degree in some kind of social studies of something, or, this, that, the other, so, issues, right? What does that have to do with like Build Back Better or whatever, or saving something? So, people are buried in debt. People are underwater. The real estate market, people are just buying properties, which is insanity because they're going to have to pay taxes on those, high taxes on those things, right? Price of lumber's sky high. Price of food has gone up. I've heard firsthand stories of some areas in California, people paid $6 a gallon for gasoline. The ceiling before they used to say was $4. Once you approached $4, that was just too much for people. And so that affects consumer spending. And remember, this is, the U.S. at least is a consumer-based society, a consumer economy. So once you choke people, so that they don't have that disposable income, well, then it's over. And people don't have jobs. So forget about saying, well, we'll have a guaranteed income. I hear the numbers I hear pushed out barely would pay the rent a rent for somebody in the average city. Well, so even with this so-called, guaranteed income type of thing they would hand out to these 50 million plus unemployed people, that barely could pay their rent, let alone have anything else. You have no idea. The rioting and looting and everything I see coming up, it's crazy. I didn't mean to be a downer, and it's kind of the end of the show, so I don't want to be a downer on there. So let's
Good morning.
Let me say good morning. Go to my website, TonyCaravanLive.com. I'll be back tomorrow. These guys outside are getting too noisy anyway. So have a great Wednesday, hump day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care, and thanks for watching. And subscribe. Spread the word. Visit my locals channel. But go to Tony Caravan Live.